You're listening to Carrie Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Carrie Lutz. Well, you know, one of our themes here is entrepreneurism. I've been a lifelong entrepreneur, fourth generation entrepreneur, and we always love to get people on here who can help you bring it to the next level, because that's what entrepreneurism is all about. It's about bringing your game to the next level, and then the next and the next. And it kind of never ends. It really is all about what your goals are, what you want from your career, what you want from life. And who better to do it than Ken Burke? Ken, you are the CEO, founder of Entrepreneur Now Network. I got it right that time. Speaker, serial entrepreneur like myself, mentor, author, and hey, you've been in this thing, you know how to do it, and now you're kind of devoting your life to helping others achieve what you did and hopefully outdo you, right?
I hope so. Yeah, absolutely, right? Carrie.
You always want the student to outdo the teacher, because that is the ultimate accomplishment, isn't it?
Oh, I would say that's the ultimate reward, if you will, for helping other people, and they can do it too. Oh, there's so much opportunity out there. So, you know, whether you're a solopreneur and you've got, you know, you're in your house, you're working out of your garage or what have you, whether you have employees or contractors, you know, I'm all about growth and how do you embed growth into your business. So that's what I'm excited to talk about today.
Great. Hey, well, somebody told me recently, and I haven't checked it out, but I kind of believe it. There was one characteristic that all successful people shared in life. You know what that was?
No, what is it?
You're going to laugh. They make their beds every morning.
Oh, I would not have gotten that one. I might have to think about that.
Think about it. You know, it's like you start your life with a clean slate, made bed. And, you know, in fact, my pet peeve is like when I don't get a chance to make my bed because got to rush out of the house, got a flight to catch or whatever. It's not worth missing the plane to make my bed, but I feel rather incomplete. You know, and then there's the old saying, you've made your bed, now lie in it. Well, I'd rather lie in a nicely made up bed than a messed up bed.
It's a good metaphor. It's a good metaphor. I love it.
Yeah. So, you know, not everyone out there is an entrepreneur. I think it's a learned skill, perhaps, and all of you out there could become one if you were so motivated. But look, Ken, you've worked with so many entrepreneurs. Usually, I think you have a sense of whether somebody's going to succeed or fail when you meet them. What is it you think?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because there are certainly some. First of all, I totally agree with you that entrepreneurialism is a skill that is learned, not necessarily one that you're birthed with. Entrepreneurs are born. Sure, there's a certain personality type, but really, it's that desire, that passion, that desire to grow something out of nothing. And if you have that desire to create something and then hopefully help the world along the way, you're probably an entrepreneur. And I think all of us, or many of us, have had ideas. Maybe it's not the right time in our life to go and take the plunge, so to speak. I think COVID put a lot of people in that entrepreneurial mindset and started to say, wait a minute, I do the 9-to-5 job. I don't really it's not really, driving with me anymore. I want to do my passion. And you saw this group of 40 and 50-year-olds start to enter into the entrepreneurial world in their second career. And I saw a lot of that over the last couple of years. And that was very exciting to me, by the way. And we're still seeing that. So it might not, you have to align it with the right time in your life. That has to meet the desire and the idea. I guarantee every one of your listeners has a great idea, or they can think up a great idea and they can turn it into a business. They can turn anything they're passionate about into a business. Anything they love to do, you can turn into a business. If you're not sure, let me know because I can help you turn it into a business. It's like thinking about it and thinking through some of the strategies. There's so much that can be done. But I think that to your specific question about, kind of what makes an entrepreneur, I think that desire and passion is key to the overall equation.
All right. And I agree with that. Like I started podcasting 12 years ago.
Wow.
And for the first 4 years, kind of nothing much happened. I mean, my podcast was exceedingly popular, but there was just no money in it.
Yeah.
And, but I looked around, see what other opportunities were out there, what I wanted to do. And there was nothing else I really wanted to do. So I kept podcasting. That's just myself. When you're looking to get into something, how do you figure out if you're really passionate or if it's just a one-night stand, a short-lived romance? Because it's very romantic to me, starting a business, the idea, the excitement, the dream, right? How do you know when it's real and when it's not real?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a great question. First of all, we were taught back in, I went through entrepreneurial school. I have a master's degree in entrepreneurship. One of the things that we were required to do was do a feasibility analysis or feasibility study on our business. And it's kind of like a business plan. It's kind of like a quasi-business plan where you figure out all the business strategies and you determine financially if there's actually a business there. So how to actually so first thing I say, I want to start by the first thing that you have to do if you just have that idea is action creates momentum. Remember that action creates momentum. Therefore, if you just take steps towards your new idea, you feel like, you have a roadblock, like you have the idea, but you've not done anything about it. First recommendation that I have is Google it. Google the competitors, Google other products, Google other services, whatever you're doing in the area that you want to do the idea. Because even the act of sitting at home for an hour, one night, one evening, and just Googling things, and then you start to go from figuring out and doing some research to actually going and maybe jotting down some notes around it. Maybe the next step is maybe prototyping or outlining. Maybe you're doing a service business, or maybe you want to do a store, or maybe you want to do a coaching business. And you start outlining what it could be. You get it on paper. That starts to make it more real. Then you start to develop business strategies, which are both going to tell you whether the business is feasible or not, because the financial model that you must have if you start a business, period, you have to have a financial model. Usually a 3-year projection, but at least the first year needs to be locked down. And if you can't figure out within 3 years how to make money, that might be a challenge. Now, for you and your podcast, you kind of probably dove into it like all other great entrepreneurs, and then said, I'll kind of figure this out as I go, which is, and over time it worked for you. It might have taken a little bit longer because you were really early and the market wasn't there yet. You were ahead of the game. But another great entrepreneurial skill is patience and perseverance. I always talk about that you got to be in the game to win the game. So as you get started with this, I don't care if you're just doing something very small or you're just getting started with it, or maybe you're selling something at a farmer's market. You're getting that wheel going, and that's a business, and it can grow from there. And new ideas start to come in and pop up. So you've got to be patient. You got to make sure also things don't work on your timeline. You have a timeline as an entrepreneur that says, I should have $1 million in sales in the first 3 years, or $1 million in sales in the first year. Well, that may or may not happen. I don't know. But it's not necessarily on your timeline that everything works out. So you've got to be patient and you've got to drive forward. You're really passionate about the idea. But the bottom line is make sure it's financially feasible, that you can actually make money doing it. Because if you can't, the problem is if you can't grow it, and you can't make it into something that has real meaningful impact. And that's why I suggest that.
And well, on Shark Tank, they always say, if you do something for 3 years or more and don't make money at it, it's a hobby. Hey, yeah. So what about, you said you got to take action, but this law of attraction, you can just sit on your butt and think positive thoughts, and it'll come to you like out of nowhere. It just comes.
Oh my God, I like you so much. This is great. This is great.
Does the world work this way, Ken?
Yeah, of course. You know what? I always said, we are kindred spirits, because I heard in your voice the inclination around, or the implication, I should say, around this idea of law of attraction. I've done a lot of reading and studying and writing. I wrote a book, by the way, on it's a personal development book. So it took me 10 years. So let me tell you, I've read a million books on the law of attraction. The law is a little bit off, in my opinion, because there's something in my book called Taking Action. I have a whole section on taking action. Once you get clear on what you want to do, you actually have to do something. You can't just sit there and it kind of just comes. You can't imagine it to be. So the law of attraction, here's where the law of attraction is helpful. In that if you kind of have an idea, the law of attraction really is about clarity and then directing your energies towards something that can manifest itself and produce itself. What it doesn't do is it doesn't get you off your butt and move you forward. You physically have to do that. You physically have to. I go into work every day. I go literally into the office every day. And I'm not a solopreneur. I do have a staff, but we're all remote. And it's my routine. It's what I'm comfortable with. And I work really hard at the Entrepreneur Network, my other company called Microtasking, which is a software company, my book, my speaking, all the other things. And I just keep going for it and going for it. And little pieces start to come together over time. They don't all come together at once. But the law of attraction said, I put out my intention, but then I had to work really, really hard to actually make it happen. So that's the missing piece, is that you got to actually, again, get it done. You got to take action. And here's the deal. Here's where people struggle with this. There's something that comes up in an entrepreneurial way. This is where you get into this, entrepreneurs have a great idea, but they can't make the leap over to start executing it. The number one reason that is fear of failure. And I got to tell you, that's why this entrepreneurs sometimes get into this analysis paralysis thing, where they just keep on analyzing it, thinking about it, fantasizing about it, dreaming about it, whatever it might be. And what happens is they don't get over that next hump, if you will. And the only way to push through the fear of failure is understand that it doesn't exist. In my book, the whole book is almost dedicated to this idea that we're all here to learn, grow, and develop. I know it's a little self-helpy, but you emanate from that. From that, failure is impossible. And the reason it's impossible is because you're going to try something and you're going to learn something from it. So if you're getting something out of the failure, which, by the way, you do, I've had so many failures in my life, and those have become all the best lessons. And all the great things that I've ever done have come out of failures that I thought were tragic at the time and ended up not being very tragic. And I probably was way over emotional. So all these barriers that entrepreneurs put in themselves that haven't started yet, you can break down just by understanding. If I get out there and try, and in fact, I want you to fail a little bit. I want you to try new things, get feedback, move that business around, and then you're going to start to find a sweet spot. And you're going to drift your way into that sweet spot, and the clarity will get clearer and clearer and clearer as you execute. You can't get clear unless you're executing, period.
Well, I love, look, I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, but the law of attraction, like you said, is not a substitute for getting up off your ass and actually working. I believe that once you take action, like you said, and you're focused, then the law of attraction is very real and it will work for you. And, I love what you were saying about that, Ken, because too many people think the law of attraction is a shortcut. There are no shortcuts here, right?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Osino Resources is a Ross Beatty-backed gold exploration company in mining-friendly Namibia. Osino's district-scale land package is situated near 2 producing gold mines, one of which Osino's management team previously developed and sold to B2 Gold. Osino's founders and management are experienced mining professionals who have already successfully developed and sold 2 companies in the past 7 years. Osino has an excellent shareholder base with Ross Beatty owning 20%, insiders 5%, and Resource Capital Funds 8%. This is an exploration company with drills turning that you'll definitely want to pay attention to. Osino trades in New York under the ticker OSIIF and in Toronto under the ticker OSI. To learn more, go to osinoresources.com. That's osinoresources.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
No, I wish there were, or maybe I didn't find any shortcuts in my life. Every once in a while people get lucky, and I don't know that luck is kind of, you're in the right place at the right time, but you know what luck is? And Tony Robbins says this, and I always forget the quote, and I've got to remember the quote because it's brilliant, but it goes something like this, that, luck is really a manifestation of you putting yourself in the right place at the right time and circumstances starting to happen. And I saw that in my business. I ran a business for 21 years. It was a very large, we did $2 billion a year in online sales for our customers. We were a software platform for all the major retailers out here in the United States. or a lot of them anyway. And we were successful. But there were so many failures along the way. But then something just, something would happen. We get a big account like Warner Brothers or Disney, and they would take us to the next level. Then we get another big account like Party City, and they took us to a next level. And it just kind of started to build on it. And at the end of the day, we were doing $2 billion a year in online sales. Like, holy crap, we're like significant now. We were the market leader. We were Forrester and Gartner ranked in the top 5 platforms in the world. But we bumbled our way into it. Trust me, we made so many mistakes. I can tell you so many stories I won't bore you with of so many mistakes, but that's the only way that our product became really great, was because our customers gave us feedback, and then we iterated and changed and pivoted and moved around and adjusted to what they wanted. And all of a sudden, what we developed is what they needed, which is key to an business. Let me give you this real quick tip, though, for entrepreneurs, that you need to make sure that whatever you want to do, and this is the difference between a hobby and an actual entrepreneurial business, and listen up, you have to solve a problem. The stronger the problem, the more intense the problem, the bigger the opportunity that you have, the more of a rocket ship start you'll get. So you got to identify a problem. Here's what most entrepreneurs do. They have a solution, and then they have a solution in search of a problem. So they develop the solution first. I want to do this. And then they go and try to find the problem that they're solving. Sometimes that's even the good ones that do that. They're doing it backwards. What you want to do first is say, I kind of want to do this. I like this. This aligns with me, and it needs to be aligned with you. Now I'm going to go ahead and find the problem that's huge, or the need that's huge, or the want that is huge, and I'm going to go solve it with this thing. And then you craft the solution around the problem, the need, or the want, not the reverse, which is what everybody does.
Yeah, so true. Hey, so it's so important. You got to have a need. There's got to be a market for what you want to do. The bigger the market, the bigger the profit. We get all that. But
kind of, I want to stop there. Kind of yes, kind of no. I actually am of the philosophy that you don't necessarily need a huge market. This is another mistake I think entrepreneurs make in general. I agree with you in general. That is the general belief. But the more focused you are, and so I can be huge by having a big chunk of a small market or a highly focused market, as you know, right? I think that's, yeah. And so with that, I think that sometimes I really coach my entrepreneurs on, I want you to be as focused like a laser on a very specific thing, not something huge. Because when you try to talk to everybody, you end up talking to nobody. Yeah. So your solution or solution that you're trying to fix does not apply. Because an 18-year-old male thinks differently than a 72-year-old female, right? As an example, right? The same message will not resonate to the two people. I was on the elevator this morning. I'm actually in New York at a hotel, and I looked down at a gentleman's shoes, and I'm like, those are really cool shoes. He was an older gentleman, and he said, my kids bought them for me. And I said, oh yeah, I've seen those on Instagram. And he laughed at me because he's like, well, that's like I would never think of going on Instagram to find these shoes. And that's probably where his kids did. Again, the messaging is, he almost laughed at me, and I'm not that young, as you can see on the video, but he like laughed at me and like, you youngin are out there on Instagram, right? And he doesn't even identify with it. So it's all like that particular brand of shoe, that's how they're mainly known for. So they were targeting a particular audience. Anyway, I don't know if that's a good example or not, but I thought it was funny.
Focus is essential, no question about it, and proper focus. But the point is, like most entrepreneurs who want to be entrepreneurs, their biggest problem is you can't get started. They can't get out of the box.
Yeah.
It's not so much motivation. I don't buy that it's motivation. I think it's something deeper. I think it's something that is a lot more basic to human nature than just, I can't get started.
It is. Absolutely. I mentioned it earlier. It's fear. It absolutely is fear of failure. That is the number one roadblock that stops entrepreneurs from moving forward. They overthink it. They think, okay, well, now I have to start investing time. Okay, that's a cost. Now I have to start investing money. That's a cost. I may have to, not spend as much time with my family because I have to focus on it. Oh my goodness, what happens if it becomes really big? Then I'm not going to have any time for my friends and my family and my other life and so on and so on. So they put all these things in front of it, and that's what makes them not. Before they even start, they've already created all these problems for themselves. And if it fails, I'm going to be thought of as silly. Now, the other thing that happens with entrepreneurs is that, and this is a very important tip, that you take your idea and you start communicating it. So you talk to your husband, your wife, your friends, your family, somebody on the street, whatever it might be. and you get feedback on your idea. And some people it might resonate with, and then some people it doesn't resonate with. Here's the problem. When you're going to get feedback about your new idea and you're really excited about it, and you talk to somebody that it doesn't even understand what the idea is about or has no need for it, their feedback back to you is tainted because they're not your target market. So when I go to my mother, as an example, and I tell her I build software and here's what I do and and isn't it exciting? She's like, that's nice. Did you have a good dinner tonight? Or that's nice. What do you need? Meaning it doesn't even resonate with her. It's like, I don't even understand what you're talking about, let alone anything else. And she's my mother, so she has to say it's nice. My point is that I don't take my great ideas to my mother because she's not my target market. I'll take my ideas in my case to other entrepreneurs and say, hey, do you want a place where you can go and get all this great e-learning? Do you want this place where you can get a lot of free education? Do you want this place where you can get a business plan, a financial plan, an investment deck, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, holy crap, this is great. And it doesn't even cost very much. And a lot of it's free. I'm there right there. But if I tell a non-entrepreneur about Entrepreneur Now, one of my properties, one of my sites, they're like, oh, big deal. Their reaction is blah. Think about your own business. Think about who you're telling. And your spouse may not be excited about your business, or your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner or whatever, or mom or dad. So make sure you take it to your target market and get feedback from them. That's where you want to get your feedback from. Don't let anybody tell you it's not a good idea. It just has to maybe be shaped and molded into something that people understand. Right out of the gate, your idea may need a little bit of refinement so that people can understand it. That you communicate in benefits, not features. When you're talking about the idea, you talk about the emotional side of what you get out of my product or service. You don't talk about it has a widget here and it turns here and it does this. Oh, that's really cool. That's not what people buy. What people get excited about is what it does for me. What's in it for me? How does it improve my life? How does it make me more money? How does it bring more social status? How does it help me reduce my cost or feel better or be more safe? Those are all benefits. They're not features of a product. You speak about benefits as you're describing your product, people will emotionally connect to it. That's really important.
People buy benefits first.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, hey, Ken, it's been a real enlightening discussion here. Really appreciate you coming on. What's the best place to find you, buy your book, or check out your work?
Sure. We have kenburke.com, KENBURKE has my book. If anybody's interested, it's a little more personal development. It's called Prosper, 5 Steps to Thriving in Business and in Life. But we also have a lot of free resources on the site as well. But we also have another site called entrepreneurnow.com. And that has tons of free resources for entrepreneurs to learn, grow, and develop and get their businesses off the ground, business plans, financial plans, investor decks. Entrepreneurial Mindset is one of my most popular courses. We actually give it away for free. So lots of great things on that site. Sign up for a free membership if you don't want to buy something. Doesn't matter. Everything's, it's all there for you. Just please use it.
All right. Excellent. Hey, if you got a question for Ken, shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. And don't forget, go to the site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for your free newsletter. Ken, really been a pleasure. We will definitely talk to you again. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.